Alright, what's good YouTube? What's good stream? You watching Alex Hormozi how to actually get rich in your 20s. I ain't even watched this yet, so I guess I'm reacting to it. I'm gonna just give my little 2 cents on what he's saying. Tell y'all how to get started today. Same thing as always. Let's jump into it.
Six, I crossed 100 million net worth at age 31, and this is brutally honest advice for men to win in their 20s. I made my first million at 26. I crossed 100 million net worth at age 31, and this is my roadmap for things that I learned along the way. I'd like to normalize a 6-day a week, 12-hour per day work week for men between 16 and 28. And despite all the self-worth voodoo that social media and society will tell you, you are valued based on your utility. And when you're young, you have none. But you have a lot of energy. And so trade that energy for experience points and become useful. The first rule of entrepreneurship, according to Alex, is use what you've got. And the reason I like that is because many people always don't start things because they don't have the capital, they don't have the connections, they don't have the whatever insert insecurity or projection of blame and power they want to put on. But the first rule is you use what you have. And so it's about resourcefulness, not resources. And so if you have energy, you use the resource you have, use what you've got to trade, to develop experience, to develop proof that you can get good at a skill. And you only get good at a skill by not being good at a skill and repeating it and then failing at each time and then making incremental improvements which take many, many repetitions until you actually get good. And this may be a little controversial, but I'm not here to be nice to you. I'm trying to be kind, which might mean that it hurts a little bit. So
See, and most of y'all will start. Y'all will have something that y'all want to learn how to do, a skill or whatever, but y'all only actually do it like once every week, twice every month. You feel me? Like y'all don't do what you want to do consistently enough to be good at it, to be where you want to be with that skill. Like if you want to make music and you only make songs every once in a while and then you giving excuses the whole time in between, how do you expect to get anywhere with that, bruh? Like that's actually something that be pissing me off with people. Like how you gonna tell me you want to do something but you don't do it? Like you can't tell me that you want to make music or tell me that you want to do hair, but you don't. If you wanted to do something, you would do it. So that's the whole thing about getting rich, is that you can't do one thing and monetize it. You can't do one thing enough on your own to get good to monetize it. That's why you don't have a skill that you can get paid for, and you don't know how to even get started. Well, you do know how to get started, but you too lazy to get started because you too lazy to even do what you say you like. But I digress.
So let's make this practical. If you have less than $100,000 in savings and you would like to have $100,000 or more in savings, these are the things that I would recommend doing. And that means that you have to check out your ego. Your ego is gone for this. All right, you don't care what other people think because they're not going to be there in 10 years. All right, you have a whole new group of friends that are way fucking better and cool.
To rise to life's challenges, monarchs go beyond the classroom, roll up our sleeves, and dig.
So one, stop eating out. Discount groceries only. That's if you're super poor. If, here's my caveat, if you know how to make money, you already have a base level of skills, then eating Chipotle and whatever you can, DoorDash it in so that you can keep working. The moment I realized I could make five.
All you gotta do is make enough to maintain a small lifestyle on your own without a job. If you can just make as much as a job paid, like 1,000, 2,000 a month, that's what my job pay me around there every month. Like if you can just do that off of your business, off of what you want to do, then you can now work for yourself full time and be able to dedicate all of your time into becoming better at what you want to do. Like you don't gotta get rich overnight, bro. It's gonna take time to get to where you want to be, but you can full time do what you want to before you even get to that point. You can enjoy your way up to the top. But most of y'all only see the part where y'all have millions of dollars, and the gap between you with millions and where you at right now is so big that you can't even see yourself having that. You can't even see yourself realistically getting to that. So you don't even try in the first place because you don't even think that you can do it. Like you might think or get motivated sometimes and say, "Oh yeah, I can do this. I can make it happen." But like you ain't actually gonna try to make it happen because you can't stick to it long enough to make it come real. You just dreaming. I had some more to say, but it slipped my mind.
$500 every 30 minutes by selling, I was like, oh, I'm never cooking food or grocery shopping ever again. Anything that was less than $500 an hour was now immediately outsourced, right? But this advice is for people who are super broke, okay? So if you don't have the skill set yet, at all, and you're struggling to just get things going, then you need to be completely on the defensive so that you can have enough money so that you can start taking bets. Because the only way that you're going to get ahead is that you have to make bets. You got to make bets on education. You got to make bets on opportunities. You got to make bets on inventory. You got to make bets on software. You want to start a Shopify store. You want to start a school community. You want to start something. It's still going to cost some money, right? You might have to buy a camera. You have to buy some software that helps you edit videos. Like there's some expenses. All right, and so having a big stockpile allows you to be patient. The more money you have, the longer out you can think because you don't have to worry about tomorrow. You know that next month and the month after and the month after taken care of because even if you made no money, you've got enough. That's how you can start thinking long term. People are like, think long term, but like unless if you have payroll and you've got rent or you've got groceries to pay, you can't think long term because you're in survival mode. And so I'm trying to get survival to be as low as humanly possible for you so that you can get into thrive mode, but it's all relative. If you make 40 grand a month and spend 40 grand a month, you're going to be in the same survival mode. But if you make 40 grand a month and spend 4, you're going to have every month you make 10 months worth of income. And so in 2 months you've got 20 months saved up. You're good. And then you can get super aggressive with that other 36 and start really betting to double down. All right? So here's
The first part to getting rich is getting out your job. Not so you don't have to work. I'm not saying like just so you don't have to work. I say the first part of getting rich is getting out of your job because when you start making money, that money outside of your job off of whatever it is that you want to do, now you have to dedicate all your time to becoming as good at that thing that's paying you as possible. Or if you make products, to reinvesting as much as possible in your products and expanding your business as fast as possible. Most of y'all are still in y'all jobs right now, so y'all not even at that level yet. But it's level 1. That's the starting level. Well, no, I'm wrong. The starting level is when you're learning the skill that you want to do. But the starting level of the life that you want, excuse me, the starting level of the life that you want, that's right when you get out of your job. That's when you finally can do what you want full time. But it's when you can do what you want full time. What am I trying to say? When you can do what you want full time, you aren't rich yet. You might not be making hella money yet, but you're making enough to maintain some sort of lifestyle. Even if it's not the lifestyle you want, you can survive without a job off of just what it is that you're doing now. That's the level 1 that everyone should be trying to get to if you don't have any start yet. So you gotta really lock into getting good enough to make something. You gotta get good enough to make something so that you can turn up. That's how it goes. Everybody that came before you did it. Most of y'all feel like it's just supposed to be given to you. But you gotta put that time in, bro. You can't do something once every couple of weeks and expect to get rich off of it ASAP. Do it 100 times in one day. If you want to be a rapper, drop 100 songs in one day, and then do that for the next year, and tell me you don't blow up. But you can't. Whether it's because you don't got enough time, or whatever, you can't. Because you won't. You won't even try. You won't even try to record 10 songs. You might not try to record 1 song. So it's like, is that really what you want to do, or do you just like to feel like you want to go somewhere in life? Because I'll never tell nobody they can't, but if I don't see no work behind it, I can only call a duck a duck.
Be very broke, 5, 6 things that you can do to immediately spend way less. 1, stop eating out, discount groceries only. 2, stop buying new clothes, go to Goodwill only. 3, only attend free friend events. All right, so think of what I just said. Think about all the events that friends will tell you to come to. Weddings, bachelor parties, birthdays, just nights out because it's Thirsty Thursday, whatever. Only attend free friend events. And if they don't support your goals, they're not your friends. Think about that. If I said, hey, I've got this goal, and I said, hey, there's this human being, and he wants to get you to not have the goal, would you describe him as a friend or an enemy? Think about it. Some of the people in your life that you call friends are actually your enemies. You just don't know it.
Performing a
Real life, bruh. Some people that y'all around every day don't like y'all. Like he said they don't support you, but real life, some people y'all around every day don't like y'all. And y'all will never tell because they'll smile in your face, but they don't like you or nothing you have going on. Whether it's because you actually trying something and they can't, or they feel like they can't, whether it's because you just got a certain energy about you, some people that you around every day don't like you. And they don't want to see you go nowhere. That's just the truth of the world.
on the biggest stage in the world was just one step in my journey.
Now,
So if you gonna be around them, you gotta know how to shield your energy. Cause I can't tell you to cut them off, cause most of y'all won't do that. I be trying to give y'all the quickest solution. Even though quickest isn't always best, I feel like the first step to doing I feel like the first step to getting where you need to be is just the quickest action you can take so that you can see yourself on the way. Like, I feel like if you want to have a business, the first thing you need to do is whatever it is you say you want to do. Like, if you say you want to flip cars, then you need to go to an auction ASAP. Even if you don't buy a car, you need to go to an auction the next day if you can. Like, you got to get on whatever it is you say you want to do, you got to do it ASAP. And I'm going to always tell you how to get started the fastest way possible. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about speed. I'm all about getting to it.
4, take the rest of the time that you have to A, apply to jobs that make more than your current job. B, pick up side hustle work. C, learn skills that you can trade for a higher hourly rate than you currently do. When I say trade, I mean you make more per hour than what your current skills pay you. All right, and then 5, find the hardest worker in the room when you enter that new job or that new place, and then double their level of input. So if they knock on 100 doors, you knock on 200. They make 100 dials, you make 200 dials, right? When I had Jacob, my young neighbor, I gave him this exact advice. And he was expected to, on his team, do 100 dials a day. He did between 300 and 400. And so guess what? He got better faster. And then once you follow all of those steps, this is what you need to do next. Wait 36 months. And this is what I mean by patient with your outputs, impatient with your inputs. And the crazy thing is that you can change your life in one decision. I can get drunk, drive in a car, and change my life forever. Right? I can happen like that. But it can happen just like that the other way. It's just that the outcome's delayed. That's the only difference. You can change your life today in this moment by making these decisions, and your life path will have veered. You will have changed direction. Your tree of...
It can take you years to get it, and you can lose it in one night. Negative things always come way faster than positive things. Positive things always take time. That's why when you see people live in certain ways, even if it's they in positions that they don't really want to be in, it's because they kept making short-term decisions that slowly they were negative, but they got them a quick a quick output. So you kept on making those decisions for the quick gratification to feel good in the moment, but overall, you taking yourself down in life instead of up. What you need to do is do what you might not want to do, but you should be doing, you need to do. You need to make the best decision so that you can get to where you want to be. You only holding yourself back by delaying that. You only holding yourself back by delaying that. And I can't stress this enough. It's so important. Like, it's so simple, but so many people don't do it. Like, all you have to do is just do it. Like, whatever it is that you say you want to do, just do it. And you'll get better at it. And either people will see you do it and want to work with you, want to be in with you, or you'll just learn how to push it. You'll become enthusiastic about it because you'll get so good at it that when people hear you talk about it, they want to see what you can do. And that's how you'll get your first sales. That's how you'll get people wanting to work with you. That's how you'll get your start. That's how you'll finally get out that job that you don't want to be in. Just doing it without seeing no outcome, without seeing no output, without seeing anything coming from it. Just do it. Do it for the love of the game. And when everything start going your way, it'll seem like it happened overnight, cause you ain't even noticed the work. You just been doing it.
Of life will move. It's just that it takes time for that new direction to bear fruit. Whereas you can poison the fruit in a second, you can kill a tree real fast. You just can't grow one real fast. But it doesn't mean that if a seed's planted and you're watering it, it's not growing. It just takes a second to get above the surface. I think you can solve a lot of male problems by getting in shape and making money. You'll still have problems, they'll just be smaller and you'll have more resources to handle them. So let's talk about the making money part first. Fundamentally, in order to make money, you have to provide value to someone, either an employer or customers. But either way, you have utility which you exchange for money. And so by making that a goal, then it means that you're going to increase your own usefulness. And so somebody who is more useful all of a sudden develops other ancillary skills around that utility that they can use in other parts of their lives. If you're good at sales, guess what you can do when you're talking to girls? You can use the same conversational skill set. If you're trying to negotiate a purchase for a car or a house or whatever, like those skills generalize, they transfer across domains. And so a lot of people think it's like, well, when would I ever be a sales person, or when would I ever be an outbound, whatever? Like, it doesn't matter. It's not about that thing. The thing is, just like real life skills actually do generalize. Like, this isn't elementary school or middle school when you're learning calculus or algebra or whatever and thinking like, when am I going to use this in real life? One, it is real life right now. Two, these skills do get used across domains. Of all of my friends who are centimillionaires and millionaires, to a person, they started in what I would consider a high volume sales environment. So that's either door knocking, cold calling, or some sort of in-person business where they had many conversations with strangers on a daily basis. And I think and I'm talking not like a month or 6 months, I'm talking like 3-5 years where no one knew their name. They were just some faceless representative that stood there at the door, saw people, sold memberships, sold insurance, sold.
All I'm gonna say is most of y'all want to get rich or get where you want to be without doing half as much work as any of them. And that's why you still where you're at.
Sold whatever. And the thing is like, skill development happens through volume and feedback loops. So it's the number of repetitions you have times the amount of improvement between repetitions. Brute forcing the amount of volume definitely will help if you can give yourself feedback. I've seen people say, hey, I've actually made 100 pieces of content. Now this is like 1% of people because most people do nothing. But of the 1% of people who say, okay, I posted every day for a year, the thing is they didn't do the most important part, which is you don't just like make a video and post it just every day like, hey, make a video, post it, make a video, post it. You have to look at what you did and what you could do better. Fundamentally, that is the cornerstone of feedback. And so you look at the top 10 videos you made over the last month and you say, okay, how do I do more of that, and how do I do less of the bottom 10%? And you just pick one thing that you did well there, and you try and do it in every video going forward. And that develops a checklist of things to do so that you develop the skill. And so speaking from my own...
It's like when you first start doing something and you don't know all the little like quick shit that you can do, like, could be anything. You start a new job and you know how to do the job based on your training, but you kind of learn how to finesse it the longer you do it. You kind of learn your own way to do things quicker than the by the book way. That's how you develop a skill the same way. You gonna start off just doing things by the book, but you gonna pick up your own way to do it quicker, your own way to do it faster. You gonna learn your own processes that make it easier for you, and that's where you can start the basis of your business. The original way that you do things. That's what makes a business stand out. That's how they advertise. That's what makes what you do different from everybody else doing it. You pick that up while you're learning how to do it. So just start.
Experience, the first sales conversation I ever had, first off, I had zero sales training. No one was like, hey, this is the script, this is how you go over it. They're like, hey, here's a new lady, go sign her up. And so I was like, okay. And I didn't even know this was a sale. I didn't know the term sales. He said, go sign her up, and I said, okay. And so I walked over, and she was like, hey, I want to know more about the gym. And I said, well, what do you want to know? And she was like, well, I mean, like, how much is it? And I was like, oh, it's, whatever, 150 bucks a month. And she was like, okay. And I was like, you want to sign up? And she said, I left my credit card at home. And I was like, okay. And she was like, I'll be back with the credit card. And I was like, cool. And so I walked out, and it was like 2 minutes, right? And I walked out, and the owner, Sam, was there with a few of other gym owners. He had bought a few gym owners, and so there was like 3 or 4 gym owners there. And he was like, damn, he was like, that was fast. And I was like, yeah. He's like, you closed her? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, with a credit card? And I was like, oh no, she's gonna go get it and she'll be back. And they just looked at each other and then looked back at me and then just started laughing at me. Uncontrollably, like couldn't breathe at how.
Want to know the secret of authentic content that performs everywhere, not just social? Let's be real. Today's audience is
how dumb what I had just said was. And the thing is I had no experience. And I tell that story because so many people assume that, like, I walked out of the womb closing deals. You know what I mean? Like, hey, nurse, what are you doing later? You know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't like that, right? Like, I didn't know. I didn't even know the term. And so, over time, I just started developing, like, okay, well, what do you do? And I watched other people. So I was like, okay, they start with asking them why someone's there, ask them about their goals, ask them things that they've done in the past that didn't work. I was like, okay, that seemed to work okay. And then when they ask them to buy, then if they don't want to say yes, they ask them more questions rather than just saying okay. So I started to develop at least an understanding of the framework of how sales occurred. But I still wasn't good, right? And so then I went through like that rocky cutscene period where this is where I'm very grateful for this, is that Facebook ads is when I started running them in 2013 were super cheap. And so it actually gave me so many repetitions. Because not only was I taking 15 to 20 consults a day in person, I was also working leads. And so I'm talking to strangers over the phone to set the appointments. And so all I got was just names on a list. And I would call them, set the appointment, like, who is this again? All of that. And by the way, if you are local, you just say the name, pause with a question mark at the beginning. They're like, John? And they'll be like, yeah. And they're like, this is Alex. I pause, and they're like, who the fuck is Alex? And I'd be like, from Facebook, you signed up for our blah, 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 our thing? Yeah, I'm just calling to make sure that you're not a crazy person from the internet, and neither am I. I was like, we're actually on the corner of X and Y. I was like, right next to the 7-Eleven. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. I just wanted to see what time you want to come by. I was like, we have the sweetest facility in the world. Not really, but it's at least pretty decent for this area. But we have 5 out of 5 coolness. And they would just laugh. They were like, I can make it at 6. And I'm like, 6 works. I was like, do you want a picture of me or just of the address? And they're like, just the address. I'm like, all right, sounds good. I'll text it to you and I'll see you later today. Right? So that, like, notice like half giggles between each word. Like, it's showing that you're a positive tone person, high energy. Someone's like, man, this guy seems cool. Or this gal seems cool. Right? And so they're more likely to show up. They're more likely. Now, if I maintain that tone, if they give me an objection, I can pivot really easily. If I'm like neutral or like, hi, I saw that you signed up on the internet for our thing. Would you like to come in? They're like, well, tell me more about it. They're like, well, it's just, you have no room for messing up. And so I always try to have more rapport and bring a lot of energy. And the thing is like, if you've seen any of my content, I'm not naturally like a high energy person. I will continue to work, which is different than being like up here. And so I developed a lot of things to try and keep myself energized. And so I had a small trampoline that I would bounce on before and between every sales appointment. And it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, it's like $100. If you buy one of those little trampolines and you bounce either between sales calls or between people, like I'd have people coming in as I was still bouncing, and I'd be like, I know this is ridiculous. I was like, but try and be in a bad mood on a trampoline. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it.
And that's what worked for him in sales. Like, goes back into what I was saying. You find ways to finesse it, and you get better at it like that. You just make your own way to do things. That's as simple as it gets, really.
Challenge you too. You can be in a bad mood. If you try jumping around like you feel like such a child, it's ridiculous. But what would happen is like I would also get a little bit of exercise. My blood would keep moving, but it's also just like mentally, literally bouncing gave me a lot of energy for these appointments. And so I say this because I developed all of these things over time. And so if you're starting out, you're not going to be good. That's why you're new. You have no experience. But there's a difference between, there's a story that, I can't remember where it is, but there was a foreign kid who had never seen banana before. And so the adult gave the kid a banana. And so the kid took the banana and then bit right into it with the skin and everything. And another child was like, you're such an idiot. And then the adult yelled at that child and said, no, he just doesn't know any better. And there's a very big difference between being dumb and being inexperienced. Right now, you just don't have reps. And so you're going to make a lot of mistakes, like biting into the banana, for just letting someone walk away, assuming it's a close, and they say that they're just going to come back and call you with their credit card. Right? By the way, that never happens. Very rarely. But instead, you want to just peel that banana. You want to bite into the banana, bite into the orange. All of those mistakes as quickly as possible, and not judge yourself for making the mistake, and see the mistake as part of the process of being like, that didn't work. That didn't work.
This goes back into what I was saying earlier when I was like, you gotta really just do it. Like, you just gotta start as quick as possible. When I say I'm all about quickness, like, you just gotta do whatever it is you want to do as quick as possible. The very next step, like, if you just walking down the street and you think of something that you want to do, your very next step, you should be doing it. If you think I want to rap, you should be rapping down the street. If you think you want to, whatever you want to do, like, the fastest possible way to do it, you just gotta get it done. At least the first time. The first time you do something, at least that one time, you gotta make it happen.
And if I develop enough of these doesn't works, then you just kind of walk the minefield and you get to where you're trying to go. And people are like, wow, you're so good at this. And you're like, oh, no, I actually just know all the things not to say in a sale.
Did you know you can increase your revenue with Snapchat ads? Just ask Manscaped.
We have seen.
And then they end up buying. I just avoid all that, and then they buy. And to be clear, I think I have a similar piece of advice, but for very different reasons.
Most of y'all are just too embarrassed to let yourself get good. Like, everybody's gonna see you while you bad, so you don't even want to be bad long enough to get good at what you want to do. But that's where all the good stuff comes from. Like, everybody's seeing you being bad, but you still have those eyes on you. So when you actually start doing what it is that you want to do and you good at it now, it's like a whole different energy, a whole different perspective on you. They look at you different because you really stuck it through. You really did what you said you was going to do. That's why you just gotta do it. Like, the quickest step to take to do what you want to do, just get it done. Just get it out of the way. Even if you do it bad on purpose, like, you're not going to actually do it bad, but you don't want to take the extra time to make sure it's good. The very first time you do it, just get it done. The next time you do it, you can worry about perfecting. But the first time you do something, when you first start getting into something new, you just got to do it. Whether you bad, whether you decent, whether you talented, just do it. And then once you a little bit more comfortable with the process of getting it done, it won't be as much of a hassle to do it repetitively.
of telling young men in general, or men, to work harder. And it's not because I think it's some sort of, beating your chest, I'm an alpha, whatever thing. It's just that for me, the point of my life is to become the best version of me. And in order to do that, I need to learn, because there's huge discrepancy between where I am and where I want to go. And the discrepancy is going to get filled with skills, which means that I need to do repetition.
That's exactly what I just said earlier. The version of yourself that you want to be versus who you are now, you only aren't there yet because you haven't taken the time to learn all the skills you need to be who you want to be, to get as good at the things you need to be good at to be who you want to be. And you're not going to get rich overnight. But the first step, getting good at it enough to get out of your job so that you can focus on getting better at it full time. It's a whole process to it, bro. It's not overnight, but it definitely, you can be winning before you rich. People only see the end goal, and it's okay to only see the end goal, but it's not okay if you never start because you feel like you're too far away. That's how you never get anywhere.
To acquire failures that I can learn from, to get better from. And if I can do more of that in a shorter period of time, I will learn more skills, and by definition, I will shrink the distance between myself and my ideal self. And so that is pretty much the only thought process I have around this. And I also believe that you need to be patient with outputs and impatient with inputs. So let me unpack that. Patience in general is figuring out what to do in the meantime. So when someone says, hey, be patient, what they just mean is figure out something else to do in the meantime. And so if I'm telling you to be patient with outputs, it means that you basically just have to figure out something else to do in the meantime while you wait for outputs to occur. Because you can't output,
Ideally, you just doing something else that you want to be good at. But whatever.
Money doesn't appear. You have to do something and then money happens, right? But the doing something part is the thing that you can control. The money happening is the part that you don't control. That comes afterwards. It's an outcome, right? And so when I say patient with outputs, that's the first part. The second part is impatient with inputs. And so if being patient is figuring out what to do in the meantime, impatience is doing the thing in the meantime, right? And so it's the opposite of that. It's the thing you do in the meantime. And so if you want to be impatient with the input is the thing. That's the action you do. And so by delineating that, if you hear yourself thinking, man, why hasn't this happened yet? You're talking about outputs. And that means, great, if I think that thought, I need to do more of this input, right? And so use your input, your action, your doing this, the thing you use your hands for as your coping mechanism for your impatience with outputs. I want to say that one more time. Whenever you have that feeling that things should be happening faster, use action as your coping mechanism. I used to write this down a lot and say it, which was action alleviates anxiety. And so when I would have this anxiety about the future of like, why haven't I made it yet? Why are these other people doing better than me? Like, is this not going to work? What if I'm on the wrong path? Action alleviates anxiety. The only thing I can control with that is that I would work, is that I would get better. And the key point there was that it wasn't just working for work's sake, it was working with the intention to improve. And so you want to do repetitions because by doing things more times you get better at them, typically just by accident. But if you're deliberate about the point of doing this, so when I started working at a gym, going from a white-collar job, it wasn't because I wanted to become a trainer for the rest of my life. It was because I wanted to learn the skills. And then I knew that once I learned those skills, if I owned a gym, then I would know how to do the training part as well, and that would be good for me. And so then when I was a gym owner, and when I started working in a gym, I wanted to own a big chain of gyms. That was my whole goal to start with. I wasn't getting into this for one. Like, I never had the goal of only owning just one gym. And so even when I started that gym, the whole point, and I worked all the time, is I thought of all the things that I didn't know how to do yet. And so it wasn't about, great, I've made it, I own a gym. It was like, I'm so deprived of where I want to be. I have to fill this gap as fast as I possibly can. And so that's why I spent so much time on this. And
hey, this is Russell Brunson, and in a couple days, I'm doing a crazy, exciting, fun, unique event.
got feedback from as many human beings as I possibly could who were ahead of me. So I want to say this. clearly. Once I started my gym, one, I paid for a mastermind for gym owners before owning a gym. And I did that because I figured, well, why would I start a gym until I learn all the stuff that you guys did wrong? I was like, I'll just learn from all y'all's mistakes. It sounds like a great deal for me. It almost felt unfair. I was like, yeah, okay. He said, don't start at one of those locations. He said, have good storefront. He said, make sure that you have, good parking. I was like, ooh, these are all good, good things. They're like, don't go too big. I was like, okay, that's good. And they're like, make sure your rent's under this per foot. I was like, all right, make sure I got that. Right? And so I took all these notes, and then I would have just made huge mistakes on the upfront. Now, once I did start my gym, what a lot of people don't know is that every weekend I would either be on.
A lot of y'all be scared to invest in yourself too. Like, you'll see somebody that's got something going on, and they might charge you to learn how to do it, but y'all won't even pay because y'all feel like, oh, if they got money, why would they charge me to learn how to do it? But that's the whole way money works. You learn a skill, and you charge people to do it for them or teach it to them. That's the entire way business has gone for since it started. So why would you not pay someone to teach you how to make more money? It's just part of that broke survival mindset that I just don't like. Like, why would someone not charge you to tell you how to change your life? Why would they just do that for free? And like, you really got to think about it. Like, if they are rich, why did they owe you any charity? They don't. So if you want to get rich doing what they did and learning it from them, then you should pay them. Just like people that come after you that want to learn what you do, they'll pay you. It's a poll. It's like, you at the bottom right now. If you want to raise up, you got to get those skills. You got to learn. You got to meet those people, get those connections. It's so much that goes into getting where you want to be, into getting rich. It's simple because all you have to do is take action. All you have to do is, the very first step is doing what it is you say you want to do. That's step one. Everything will come from that. You'll learn what to do on your own. You won't have to watch no videos on it. You'll learn what to do after you start. And you'll put together your own processes of how to keep it going on your own. You become the person that you want to be. You're not him already. Otherwise, you'd already have everything you want. So learn what you need to learn. Get good at what you need to be good at, as fast as possible, and from the best people you can, so you can be the best version of the person that you want to be. Like, I don't know. It, to me, it's simple. It's like 1 + 1 = 2 to me. But when I hear a lot of people speak on it, it just really shows me where some people's heads be at, like where their mindset is. And I don't like it, but I can't really talk down on it, because if that's where you're comfortable and you don't want to get uncomfortable to change, then what can I tell you?
Phone calls, or I'd be driving out to other gym owners, and thankfully, because I was so young when I started my business, they were just like, they felt bad for me. And so they would just sit there, and I'd be like, hey, why do you do that? Hey, why do you do that? Hey, why do you do that? And it was like, they'd be like, God, you're such a pain in the ass. But I just wanted to learn, right? But I was always like willing to help them with anything they had. You know what I mean? I was like, let me show you the stuff that's working well for me. And I would always just share it. And the thing is I would go there and they would say they did something, and I'd be like, huh, that's weird. That's different than the other guy. And I like that way better. It didn't mean I had to take everything as fact, but I got a lot of ideas from that, and then I would use them. And if they didn't work, I would just toss them out. And if they did, I kept it. And that's how I quickly iterated the gym model to become much better than a lot of people's models, despite me being younger. Because I was able to leverage everyone else's experience as fast as I could and jam it into my own. And so I think, like, the people who move faster than life learn faster. And the only way you learn is by changing your behavior with the same conditions, which means that if a person walks in, I say, this is my 6-point script. A person who's identical walks in right afterwards. If I've learned something, that script changes. It means same condition, new behavior. And so if you keep doing the exact same thing every single day, then you may not be learning. And it's a key point. It's good to work hard, but it's good to work hard and smart.
Work smarter, not harder. get as much done as possible with as little work as it can take. That's my motto all around. As much as you can do with as little output. I mean, no. Get as much output as you can from every input. Maximize every move you make. Then, even if you don't make a lot of moves, you should make a lot of moves. You should do a lot. But even if you don't, you still have some kind of cushion to fall back on. That means even if you don't stream every day, your stream should be an hour, 2 hours long at the minimum. So you still have plenty of content to clip up, make clips to post on socials, and everything else that you need to do as a content creator. Like, maximize the inputs that you do to get the most from them. If you're not doing it often, I'll say. If you can maximize your inputs and do it often, then you'll get there that much faster, like way faster. But if you don't have the time, maximize what you do when you do have time.
Which means that the work you do gets better because you tweak things. And so if you're not documenting the process that you have, and I'm not saying making content about it, but literally looking back at game footage, looking at the calls you did, looking at the content you did. I do this today. People ask me, like, what are the masterminds you're into? What are the courses you learn from? I have now broken apart the learning process that I have that works best for me, because I see the biggest gains and improvement haven't come from advice from me, for the most part. They came from looking at data, which was, let me look at the last 2,000 ads I made. Let me look at the top 50. Let me look at what these ones have in common. Let me look at what they don't look like compared to the bottom 50. Okay, these ones have these characteristics, these don't. I'll do more of this and less of that. And then I do another 100 ads, and I look at the top 10 again. I say, what do these ones have that these ones don't? And I do that for sales calls, I do that for content, I do that for meetings, I do that for businesses in general when you start zooming out. And so that process of do a lot of volume, then look at the outcomes that were good, look at the activities that led to those outcomes that are positive, do more of those activities, look at the bottom percentages, look at the things that led to not having that happen, and do less of those. And if you're younger, and this is specific for everyone who's listening to this video, if you're probably sub 30, sub 28, maybe, right? If you're in your 20s or less, you can probably get away with this, which is that people ahead of you are more willing, believe it or not, to feel like they have status. So you can give them status by saying, be a mentor. And the thing is, a lot of young guys have a lot of ego, right? Because you're trying to prove yourself, trying to be a man, whatever. The thing is that if you humble yourself, it's not like there's...
When our numbers guy Frank goes on vacation,
Go off, Frank. Yes.
the deal's
There's some fucking massive scoreboard where it's like, who humbled themselves to whom across the whole U.S. It's not exist. It's just something one dynamic, right? And so if you go and say, hey, I don't know anything, I'm happy to learn. If you do that, then a lot of people are like, oh, well, he humbled himself. Well, yeah, I'm happy to teach you. And the thing is they'll give you advice that's worth thousands of dollars, years of your life for free if you just say, you're better than I am at this. But the thing is that at the end of the day, none of it matters, but scoreboard would be the thing that matters in business, right? And so the only thing that precedes the scoreboard is your learning. I've spent ego points, I've spent dollars, I've spent time, I've spent social capital, I spent every resource that I had to get more learning faster. Because fundamentally the only thing, and I think this is probably one of the biggest gifts my father gave me, is believing that I am the asset I am investing in. And the cool thing is that you are the permanent hold, right? You can't sell you. Like, you're you until you die. And so this is the one asset you've got, because you compound. Skills compound. When you get really good at sales and really good at finance, guess what? You can raise $1 billion, because you know how the finance world works and you know how the sales world works. Right? If you know how to code and market, then guess what? You can build software and sell it to gazillions of people because you have the product and the acquisition. Like, skills stack disproportionately. If you only know one, you might not be able to make a tenth as much as if you know two. Now, obviously, those are big bucketed terms that have many, many, many skills underneath of them. But fundamentally, when you think about it that way, you become a weapon. So let's tackle the second part. I said you can solve a lot of male problems by getting in shape and making money. And so let's talk about the getting in shape side. So you can avoid tons of problems in life by doing one thing, going to bed on time. And so instead of setting alarms to wake up, set alarms to go to sleep on time.
He just called me out. It's like 5 a.m. right now. I woke up at like 3 a.m. So most days I don't even go to sleep till around this time. So yeah, I definitely got to get on my going to bed on time. Whole bunch of stuff too, but right now I'm just focused on getting to work and I don't even be thinking about sleep. I can't even lie. I want this so bad. I don't even have a clear path, but I'm just doing it into the void, I guess, until I get somewhere. Shoot. We gonna see where I end up though.
It's hard to wake up late when you go to bed at 9. Right? And so the thing is that one simple behavior actually can eliminate a lot of the things that derail men, especially young men. And so Charlie Munger talks about this a lot, which is like, all I want to do is find out where I'm going to die and never go there. The whole point is he thought so much more about avoiding stupidity than trying to be intelligent. It's kind of like the stupidities are very easy to identify, the intelligence is hard.
So you don't even have to try to be good. Obviously, don't just not try, but you don't even have to try to be good. Just know what not to do and don't do that, and you'll get better.
But if you avoid all stupidity, you just become intelligent by default. And so if you define intelligence the way I do, which is rate of learning, so how quickly you pick things up, that is intelligence. If you can avoid all of these things that make you look like an idiot, right, then you become more intelligent. So let's talk about this from the getting in shape perspective. Show me a situation where you have two groups of men. One group of men that is really out of shape and fat, and another group of men that's really in shape that are going to outperform one another, and this is generalized, you have to take random sampling of the population, a bunch of in shape guys, a bunch of overweight guys, who's going to do better at any task over and over again. If we pick 10 tasks that are completely different, the in-shape guys are going to do better than the out-of-shape guys. Period. They're going to have more energy. They're going to be more focused. If it's anything interrelated, like interrelation-based, like those guys are going to close higher percentages. If you're better looking, you will close more. If you're better looking, you get paid more. If you're better looking, you get more promoted. If you're better looking, you do better in content. Period. Fight me. And so the thing is like if you have this one thing that affects every way that people see you, and the only thing you have to do is control what you put into your mouth, then don't you think it's worth developing that most basic skill of discipline at this point in your life? Because the thing is that you want to get in shape young, because if you're not in shape, guess whose fault that is? So, get in shape now. Thing is it costs time, not money. And right now, you've got time and not money. And time only becomes more expensive as you age. So buy it now while time costs you the least and you have the fewest responsibilities. It'll help you no matter what life path you choose. The thing that no one recognizes is that drinking costs you 2 days. The day you drink and the day you recover. And sometimes the weeks afterwards for the stupid.
Better ingredients, better pizza. This is Papa John's handcrafted specialty pizza.
The thing you did while you were drunk that everyone else saw. It reminds me of this quote from Muhammad Ali, and I asked my team to pull it up because I think it's so good. Also because he was the greatest of all time and just a cool dude.
What's the central part of your training? Is it running? Is it sparring? Or?
Central part is dodging the nightclubs and the parties and the girls. You know the truth? And being in the bed by yourself 9 o'clock at night. And if you can get by that, you'll make it. That's the truth. But I tell you the truth. You talk all that running and hitting the bags and jogging and biting and rope. And dodging agents is the main thing. Especially when you're pretty like me.
And I'll speak to myself personally. When I had my intense periods of work, I would take off for a long, long time. So the longest that I took off was 2 years while I was scaling gym launch from, the 20 months we went from 0 to 4.5 million a month, 4.4 to be technical. I didn't drink that whole period. And once things settled out, I was like, all right, I'm willing to drink again. And right now, acquisition.com is scaling like crazy. And so Layla and I both said, let's just stop drinking for the foreseeable. Then same thing now. So that was when I was in my 20s. This is now when I'm in my 30s. And I'll probably continue this until I feel like I'm at a place where things feel chill again, and then like maybe I'll partake again. But the thing is like if you are hungry argue me the opposite, which is me drinking more will make it more likely for me to hit my goals. I think you'd have a tough time making that argument. And so right now, everything's compounding is amplified, right? The stuff you do now amplifies throughout your career and your life. And so I would want to stack as many advantages as I can to my favorite, which is like, I'm going to go to sleep on time. I'm going to not drink, right? I'm going to get in shape, right? I'm going to do as many repetitions as I can. I'm going to humble myself with people who are more experienced than I am. Even if I think I'm smarter than them, they still know more. And there's a big difference in this, what I think is really tough for younger guys, is that your brain at 25 to, like 25-ish, 25 to 30 is like peak processing power. But I'm way fucking smarter now than I was then because I've still learned more. And that's the thing is that you may be smarter than someone in sheer processing power, but they still might know more than you. And so you can't live their life. And especially if somebody is further ahead, then it still means that they have knowledge that you don't.
This why I say you can really get game from anybody. Like, you ain't always gotta do what somebody say or take their advice to the T. But I always, no matter what position somebody in, I always hear out what they had to say when they trying to give me some game. Cause you might pick up something from what somebody say that wasn't even what they said, but it resonated with you for some specific reason, whether it was just something that you've been going through every day and you needed some confirmation and they just gave you the confirmation, whether it was just something you needed to hear. It can always be something that you pick up from anybody. But and it don't cost nothing to hear them out. But if you don't hear them out, you don't have no chance to gain anything. You don't gain anything from not hearing someone out. Unless it's like they just some crazy person. You might gain peace of mind or something. But 9 times out of 10, you ain't got to do it. But at least hear them out.
And so, and humbling yourself to somebody, even if you think you are smarter, will teach you more. Because again, argue the opposite. I will learn nothing from no one. How does that help you? It helps your ego feel good, but at some point your ego's going to have to rectify its good feeling with reality, which is that you're broke as shit and no one cares. And so I would rather humble myself rather than have the world humble me. This is a Bible quote that I just really like a lot.
So when a client comes to us with an ask to launch an influencer marketing campaign, the process is pretty streamlined.
Matthew 20.
Well, anyway, we just hit the 30-minute mark. I'll probably come back to this. I just wanted to get a little bit of streaming done. Say what's up to the channel too. I'm posting this on YouTube. Gonna, subscribe, whatever you do. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all learned something, pick something up from me. I hope y'all actually take some action after y'all click off this video and bring yourself closer to where you want to be in life. Do something. Just take one step. If you don't do nothing, just take one step and then go play the game the rest of the day. Just to be able to say you took that one step. I appreciate y'all for tuning in.